Speaker.
Mr. Bucy, for what purpose?
Will the gentlelady yield for some questions?
Does the gentlelady yield for questions?
I do.
Gentlelady yields.
Thank you, Representative. Before we kind of talk about the substance or lack thereof in this bill, can we talk about what your amendment does? And specifically, if I'm correct, your amendment strikes the enacting clause. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So what does that mean of how it interplays with the bill?
It basically makes the bill unenforceable.
So if we pass your amendment, the bill could still be voted on, people could get their campaign statement, but we would be able to put this amendment on and make sure that this bill that creates hate would not take effect. Is that correct?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Sounds like it could be a win-win to pass this amendment and people still get their primary campaign fodder.
Absolutely, and which is the reason why this bill was brought forth.
I can't find another one based on the layout. Representative, by bringing this amendment, and I'm glad you did, because I have concerns about how we're trying to define sex and how it would be enforced. This bill says that being a man requires a reproductive system that is developed to fertilize the ova of a female. That's found in the language of this bill. Have you ever been able to tell if someone could fertilize an ova from the way that they look? Now, I will say before you answer, I understand maybe if you walk over the Senate, but other than that, have you ever been able to tell just by looking at someone if they can fertilize?
No, thankfully. For this body, I cannot tell if someone is capable of fertilizing an ova by the way that they look, dress, or talk.
Me neither. This bill states that being a woman requires having a reproductive system that is developed to produce ova. Are you able to tell if someone's uterus or other organs have developed in such a way that they are able to produce ova?
No, I cannot, and I don't think anybody anywhere can unless they have some kind of x-ray eyes. This is private information that nobody could ever discern just from somebody's appearance.
So let me ask you, if we don't have superhuman powers, where does this leave us? Does this mean enforcing this new definition of sex, which relies on reproductive ability, would mean asking Texans pretty uncomfortable private questions? Would it require us to intrude on each and every Texan to know if they would meet the standard of this definition?
Yes, absolutely. And this sort of medical information should always be private, just like any other medical information. There is no need for the government to ever know how if someone is born atypical, or they have atypical chromosomes, or what genitalia someone has in their pants. I don't understand the obsession with that, Mr. Bucy. This bill would require governmental entities to classify people based on their ability to reproduce, which really opens the door to invasive and harmful governmental policing of sex, gender, and gender expression.
So if this legislation ends up in law and not in the trash bin, Texans could be asked by a governmental body to provide sensitive information to confirm their reproductive abilities. Is that how you read it?
Absolutely.
Has the bill author in the layout given you any indication that she would take an amendment to fix that, to make sure that we don't have the gender police going out and going after it and confirm with people across the state of Texas? I'm not aware of that, but I think that we have an amendment that would offer that, and I definitely hope that the author is amenable. I think if we want to protect women and men from that kind of intrusion, I hope the bill author is listening right now. It doesn't appear that she is, but I hope she is, and that she would take that amendment. I'm not sure about how other folks in this room feel, and I also believe that very few are listening. I appreciate the few that are. But if we're going to subject Texans to such an extreme level of government oversight, I want to make sure this is a scientifically sound way to determine sex. Is this definition scientifically accurate that we find in this bill?
No. The definitions in this bill makes no sense. Women who have gone through menopause, according to the language in this bill, women who have gone through menopause can no longer reproduce ova, right?
Mr. Speaker, can we get some
please
quiet around here? See it. I want to say, because it's frustrating.
Members, please take your conversations outside the rails so that all can hear the debate at the front and back mic.
You would think that since they were so eager to bring this bill, that they would actually pay attention, but
and a few of them I see listening. I appreciate them. I wish the rest would, because we're about to take a vote that is going to have ripple effects across all Texans and the communities of this state, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. So those of you that are listening, even that are going to vote for this, I appreciate that. Too many of our colleagues are not.
But as I was saying, women who have gone through menopause, who can no longer produce ova, for example, this bill would define them as no longer being a woman. And any man who has had a vasectomy would no longer be a man because he can't fertilize an egg. And to me, that's just ridiculous. And these purported definitions of sex in this bill are very poorly defined and scientifically unsound. And when I asked the author of this bill if she consulted with any scientific or medical expert, I don't believe that she said that she did. These were just things that she looked up on the internet.
Yeah, it looks like these are the findings of us, the quote-unquote experts of these definitions.
Exactly.
So to confirm, these definitions are inaccurate, and they're also leaving out a group of Texans. Wouldn't that be correct?
Yes. I mean, the suggested language, we would overlook the existence of intersex people. As I mentioned in my...
The gentlelady's time has expired.
Mr. Speaker, I move to extend the time.
Members, there is a motion to extend time. Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The gentlelady's time is extended.
Thank you. As I was, in my questions to the author of this bill, this bill completely overlooks intersex individuals who have an atypical reproductive system that may not have developed to produce fertilized ova. And so this bill completely ignores the existence of these folks and erases them from being legally included in Texas laws and makes them have to choose between one of the two when maybe they don't know yet, right? Because when you have both, how are you supposed to be forced to choose between one or the other?
How does this bill erase transgender and non-binary Texans?
Well, when this bill defines sex that's based only on people's ability to reproduce, which denies the fact that sex and gender are often based on many things, right? Including someone's gender identity, a deeply held sense of self. This bill makes no allowance for the transgender or non-binary Texans and seeks to discriminate against them and virtually just erase them out of existence.
It seems that this bill lacks foundation in science.
Absolutely.
Direction, filled with hate. But what it does do is the legislature finds that on page 1, section 1, subsection 3, this is the legislature again. This isn't any scientific statement. This is the bill author and those that vote for it. Find the biological difference between the sexes mean that males are on average bigger, stronger, and faster than females. And whether that's true or not, maybe the members of this body are going to change that average. But thank you, Representative.
I would agree with that. Thank you, Representative Bucy. I move adoption.